Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. Good afternoon to you. Good Monday afternoon. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is the new Double Shot Show, and this is the episode in which I am going to look at what the Steelers are doing relative to their quarterback situation as opposed to what it is that they've been saying. When I look at what they're doing, here's something boring. Over the weekend, they signed Donald Parham to a one-year contract. You've never heard of Parham before this. That's because he spent the entire 2024 season on the Broncos practice squad. As such, he's really irrelevant. 27 years old. Who knows what he could or couldn't mean to this offense, if anything. Who knows if he'll even stick? He has played in 47 NFL games, all of those with the Chargers, 67 catches, 764 yards, 11 touchdowns. I mean, he's not a nothing. He's been on the field. He's gotten things done, even though he did enter the NFL as an undrafted free agent out of Stetson University, of all places. But here's the catch. You ready? Parham is 6'8". You heard me. 6'8" and 237 pounds. Now, 237 isn't a whole lot of weight for 6'8", but it's 6'8". And if you put him next to Darnell Washington, now you're talking about, well, two Mount Washingtons, okay, engulfing the city of Pittsburgh. Two of them. And when you think about what the Steelers offense under Arthur Smith is supposed to be about, and I say supposed to be because it always wasn't that in Smith's first year, they're supposed to be big tight ends. They're supposed to be guys who can block, finish their blocks, and then still get open for a pass. Smith craves the opportunity to go with three tight ends at times. That's why Michael Pruitt, who is likely to be gone as a free agent, was out on the field so often, and you were wondering, what are they doing? And especially when they were throwing to him, that's because that's the way the Smith offense is supposed to work. You're supposed to have three tight ends, all of whom are at least reasonably capable of catching the football. Now, what, you ask, could this conceivably have to do with the quarterback position? It's simple, at least in my eyes. Smith is going to get to call his shots on offense within reason. Within reason. There's still a head coach in the equation. There's still a head coach who can jump in and say, hey, let's change quarterbacks when nobody else wanted to do that. There's still a head coach who could say, nah, let's just roll with Najee Harris, even though Jaylen Warren's been way more effective and productive. But to the extent that Smith can manage his own offense, he's going to have the quarterback that he wants. And that's the point that I keep making again and again and again. Smith is going to have Justin Fields at quarterback, presuming, the contract being signed and everything. So everybody can go right ahead and get as excited as they'd like every time a Matthew Stafford's name comes out. Never mind that he's 37 years old. Never mind that the Rams might want a first freaking round pick for him. Never mind that he doesn't fit any of these criteria, certainly not mobility at this stage of his career. You're still going to talk about it. You're still going to fuss over it. You're still going to get a little bit because there's that name and you've seen him in the past and you know who he is. That's not it. That's not it. They want Fields. Smith wants Fields. A lot of people in that building want Fields. Got to get it done. Got to get it done. When we come back, we'll be joined by Chris Halleck heading out to the scouting combine.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Joined now by Chris Halleck, somewhere close to Indianapolis. He's in the range, right? Where are you?
I'm just outside of Indianapolis. Just stopped at a Starbucks. I gotta get some wake me up juice for the road.
I can relate, and I'm not even on the road. Chris, of course, is in Indy to cover the NFL scouting combine for DK Pittsburgh Sports. You can read all of his coverage on our website and on our app. Chris, the question of the day, it feels like the question of the days or the weeks for this fan base is who's going to be the quarterback. I know, you know how I feel about it. You know, it's going to be Justin Fields. And at the same time, as all concerned have made clear, that doesn't preclude the Steelers from drafting somebody. In fact, it's funny how they've actually brought that up on their own when you talk to them. Like they'll go out of their way to say, it doesn't stop us from drafting somebody. Is there someone to draft in this class?
Well, if you're looking for a first-round guy that can be like a franchise-type quarterback, especially for where the Steelers are picking, no, there's not.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
They'd have to trade up significantly. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't do that, because I'm of the belief that if you can trade up 15 spots, 20 spots, whatever it is, if you believe that your next franchise quarterback is there, then by all means you do it. The Chiefs did it when they traded up 17 spots to get Patrick Mahomes. But that being said, this is not a great class of quarterbacks when you're looking for the next franchise guy. That being said, that doesn't mean there aren't intriguing names later in the draft when you're talking about a guy who you wouldn't mind taking a flyer on in the third or the fourth round. And one guy who I initially kind of pegged as a 7th round flyer guy that's really interesting to me is Tyler Shock out of Louisville. He's 25 years old. That's going to turn off a lot of people.
Not the Browns.
No,
he's too young for a Browns pick.
But
sorry, too easy.
Yeah. But 25 years old also means that he's the most pro-ready quarterback of all of these guys coming out of school, and he's got some wicked arm talent, like to the point where some draft evaluators and even some scouts are not only thinking that this guy's going to be a surefire like guy who's going to be drafted, but man, he may even end up becoming a day 2 pick. But when all this is said and done, so there are some interesting guys in this class for sure.
I see. I'm looking at, ever since you mentioned his name here, I'm looking up as he's 6'5". I see that he can move, and he's got a lot of like experience. You see on the Louisville page, like his bio is like a phone book. Yeah. I could see where that would be attractive to some. I could see where you could bring in someone like that and tell them legitimately, hey, go ahead and compete in camp. Go ahead and get it done. Go ahead and take the job.
Yep.
If you can do that, regardless of who it is that you're going against. So, given the importance of the position, whether it's the Steelers or not, I could see somebody doing that without necessarily having all the Brandon Weeden comparisons dropped on them like somebody just did. So it doesn't have to be that. When I think of quarterback classes that make me cringe, the obvious one that's going to come to mind is, do you take Kenny Pickett or do you take Malik Willis? And, due respect to both of them, and Kenny's got one more Super Bowl ring than most of us have.
Yep.
That can be a scary thing. And if there's a big vacancy between, Deion's kid way at the top and everybody else that's kind of down there, floating around the bottom, I'm not sure that I'd want to see the Steelers try that. But then, Chris, you just gave the example of Patrick Mahomes. If you see somebody, you like them, and you do a better job of scouting than everybody else does, you can get your guy. It doesn't have to be everybody else's guy. It doesn't have to be, off the main draft boards that everybody's going off, or the Mel Kiper or whatever. It doesn't have to be that guy. You just have to do a better job. You have to be smarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing you don't want to do is cross that line into becoming desperate, as they did in 2022 when they took Kenny Pickett. Most everybody who evaluated that class, or especially when you talk to scouts, had a 3rd round grade on Kenny. And you take him in the 1st round. I mean, it's a reach. at that point. And, I think, that pick was just mainly, it was Kevin Colbert on his way out, and he wanted to try to give them a quarterback to possibly of the future. And it obviously didn't pan out. You don't want to get desperate. You don't want to just trade up 15 spots or however much you need to trade up to go get Cam Ward out of Miami of Florida just because he might be the best quarterback in the class. Well, being the best quarterback in this class doesn't necessarily mean all that well when you look at quarterback classes of the past, in which he might be the 5th or 6th best quarterback in another class. And so you have to be smart about it. And again, I think this is more of a quarterback class where when you look at the strengths of the class, primarily at defensive tackle and running back, which are also 2 positions of need for the Steelers, they would be better prioritizing that in the draft and getting a really, really great player at those 2 positions. And then 3rd, 4th round, find a guy. Tyler Shock's there in the 3rd round, and they have that kind of a grade on him. By all means, take it. You'd much rather swing and miss on a quarterback in the 3rd round rather than reach for one in the 1st round just because he was, the best or 2nd best quarterback in a not so impressive class. Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. Jalen Milroe is somebody I specifically wanted to ask you about because he's been kind of seen in some of the, the various mocks and so forth as being in that range, in the Steelers range. He is from Alabama. He's 6'2", 225. A junior. He's got the mobility that they're looking for. He rushed for 726 yards this past season. He also threw for almost 3,000, had a 64.3 completion percentage, threw some picks, 16 touchdowns against 11 interceptions. Isn't all that great. 23 sacks isn't all that great, although it's down from 44 the previous year. What was he doing there? Just finding people to tackle him. But at the same time, he seems to fit, and I say that based on his rushing here, the profile that the Steelers appear to be looking for when it comes to, mobility at the position.
Yeah, so when it comes to Jalen Milroe, I definitely get it. If the Steelers do re-sign Justin Fields, and I still think of all the possible scenarios, that is the most likely scenario that Justin Fields will be their quarterback in 2025. Yes, he would definitely fit in terms of being a quarterback that can play a similar style. The big drawback when it comes to Jalen Milroe, if that's the plan, is that he's not a high floor backup guy. You're drafting him more to be a number 3 more than a number 2 right away. Because if you're drafting him and he does have to go in, and if you look at Justin Fields' history, he's bound to miss some games. He's not necessarily been the most injury-free guy.
He doesn't shy away.
No, he doesn't. Mm-mm. And so then whoever the backup is most likely going to have to start maybe 2 or 3 games this season if Justin's the starter. And that being Jalen Milroe would be very scary because he is very raw in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to throwing the football. He's wildly inconsistent at times with his accuracy. He doesn't necessarily see the field very well. We're talking if he's there in the if he's there in the 5th round, okay. I might be willing to take the flyer in the 5th round just because of the athleticism and what you might be able to tap into, because he does have some intriguing arm talent as well. But if you're looking for him to be your high floor number 2 right away and possibly be a starter in 2026 or 27, yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, give me one. Give me one that you would like to see. If the Steelers, let's say that they again, our conversations that we're having with the team seem to suggest that they're more than open to this. Mm-hmm. Now, they don't say what round, they don't say what caliber, they don't say for what role, but they're more than open to taking a quarterback, and maybe they start doing it in the way that, other teams do, which is we're just going to take a quarterback every year. The position is so important, we don't care. We're just going to take one every year, and we're going to keep loading them into the machine here and see which one gets spit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the more and more homework I do on Tyler Shock, the more and more I like him. I know we've already talked about him.
Okay.
But that's honestly becoming my favorite guy in the class for the Steelers too, because his mobility is very underrated. He even talked about it when he was at the Senior Bowl. I was able to interview him at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. He talked about it was like, I wasn't asked to do a whole bunch when it came to mobility this last year at Louisville. And so I think his mobility's underrated. He's not Justin Fields, of course, but if you're asking him to step in and be able to run a read option and be able to run every now and then, he can do it. He's athletic enough to do it. And he's got the legs to do it. He's just not, going to be a guy who runs for 1,000 yards. There are only three guys in league history who've done that at the quarterback position. So and again, when you're talking about the highest floor of all of these guys in this class, he might have that highest floor because of the experience he has. Again, 25 years old is going to turn off some people and some teams possibly because he had to play that much college before he became draftable. But shoot, man, that much experience can also, again, give you a high floor right away.
It also makes it just a safer pick in general because you have so much more information on the young man. Chris, looking forward to your coverage all week long. When we come back, J1Q.
Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Time now for today's J1Q, and for that, we stay right here in the heart of it all.
Hey DK, Evan Wojciechowski from downtown Pittsburgh. I'm curious, I saw something on Facebook where our last few draft picks, Chris Oladokun, Landry, Kenny Pickett, all the quarterback carousel that we've continued to have, starting to remind me of that t-shirt for the Cleveland Browns. How many more quarterbacks do you feel it's going to take until we're in the same territory as them? Appreciate everything. Thanks.
Not really sure I'd throw poor Chris Oladokun into the mix, but I get you here. I wish that more people were thinking the way you are, Evan. I don't get the sense that they are. I keep citing the squirrel motif from the Pixar movie Up, where whatever happens, the dog just hears squirrel, squirrel. And that's what's happening now with these quarterbacks. Every time there's a name of some old dude, everyone goes, oh, it could be that. Yeah, let's do that because that would be really fast and it would make us all very happy in September. It's not a solution. It's not a solution. Unless it's, Tom Brady going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers late in the greatest quarterbacking career in NFL history. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to solve your problem. It's just going to prolong it. It's just going to keep this whole thing, running through, I guess, the rest of this decade. Maybe that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants just a different quarterback every year, all through the 2020s, because that's what you're going to get. You'll start out with Ben and you'll go through all the names that are there. You can even throw Oladokun onto there. I'm not in that realm at all. I'm not. I want to see this team, this offense, this coordinator, this line get behind, or in the Lions' case, in front of a quarterback that they know how to read, that there's some rhythm to what they're doing, that there's some predictability in the good sense to what they're doing. I want to see a 2025 kind of quarterback at the helm for the Steelers. That's what Justin Fields is. Okay, he's not perfect. I don't, just because I talk about him a lot doesn't mean that I think he's some sort of completed product. He doesn't think that either. I can promise you that. But he's aware, and the Steelers themselves internally are aware that he made real progress. Go ahead and attach him to the 3 years in Chicago all you want. You can try the same thing with Geno Smith. You can try the same thing with any number of other players at the position who have legitimately advanced and progressed throughout their careers. Justin is one of those guys. I am told from the inside, I'm going to get specific here with you, that when it comes to his making his reads, his seeing the field, the various VR tests and other things that get done with quarterbacks nowadays, that his cognitive skills are, and I quote directly, through the roof. Okay? Through the roof. He was coached poorly with the Bears. He was not coached poorly this past season in Pittsburgh, unless you count the head coach pulling the plug on him after week 6. Otherwise, things were moving along very nicely for him and for that offense. He slipped a little bit, as I'm often pointing out, when it comes to accuracy in weeks 5 and 6. But before that, his first 4 weeks, his accuracy was, well, I guess you could say it was through the roof. And that's where it was all through training camp and the preseason. Keep this kid. Keep him. Let him be your quarterback. Let go of all the other stuff. Let all the squirrels roam free. Let other teams give up their first-round picks for the squirrels. That's what the Browns do. That's what the Browns were doing when they were making that shirt. I appreciate you, Evan. I appreciate everybody checking out the new Double Shot Show. We'll be back with another one tomorrow.